There are so many claims about Einstein these days that it's hard to separate the truth from the, well, not truth. So are these well-known facts myth, or are they true?
Let's dig into this.
The story goes like this. Einstein was a terrible student and even failed math, the subject that would be the backbone of his physics breakthroughs.
It may be human nature to make ourselves or others feel better by using famous, successful people as examples when we have difficulties. It's been claimed Einstein had dyslexia, Asperger's syndrome, and a handful of other problems, all used to explain the well-known fact that he failed math, except he didn't.
The mix-up is traced to a change in the grading system of his school. In one semester, he earned top marks in mathematics, which were then listed as a 1. After that semester, a 1 became the lowest mark and top marks were a 6, which, of course, is what Einstein earned.
When the story of Einstein failing math hit the newspapers, he called it a myth and said, "Before I was 15, I had mastered differential and integral calculus." He did fail his first university entrance exam, but this was attributed to his young age and the test being heavy in Swiss history. He passed the math and engineering sections with flying colors.
The story goes like this. Einstein had a secret illegitimate child who lived until the 1990s.
Einstein and his first wife, Mileva, had an illegitimate daughter born before they were married, and her existence was not discovered until 1986, when Einstein's granddaughter found love letters mentioning the child they had been calling Lieserl. After 1903, there is no mention of her in letters, which has, of course, led to wild speculation on what happened to her.
Einstein had met Mileva at Zurich Polytechnic, where they were both studying physics and mathematics. When Mileva became pregnant, she returned home to Serbia to give birth. The couple wrote often, and the letters showed great love for the child and anticipation of the birth. Einstein wanted a boy, Mileva wanted a girl, and both were delighted by Lieserl's arrival around January 27th of 1902.
When Mileva traveled to Bern, Switzerland in January of 1903 to marry Einstein, the baby didn't travel with her. The last mention of Lieserl was in September of 1903 letter, where Einstein mentions her having scarlet fever.
Since the discovery of the child, researchers have tried to discover her fate. Many think she may have been born with developmental disabilities and given up for adoption. Others believe she died from scarlet fever in September of 1903. And one theory states Lieserl was taken by a friend of Mileva after the scarlet fever had left her blind, and she lived well into the 1990s, although the family involved rejects this story.
Since researchers haven't found a birth or death certificate, we may never know what happened to Einstein's illegitimate daughter.
The story goes like this. Einstein's children hated him, and he never saw them after the divorce from their mother.
Einstein had two sons with his first wife, Mileva. Hans was born in 1905 and Edward born in 1910. Both were born in Switzerland. The family moved to Berlin in 1914, and a short time later, Albert and Mileva divorced, with Mileva taking the children back to Switzerland. Einstein remarried in 1919 and immigrated to the U.S. in 1933.
His oldest son, Hans, earned a doctorate from the Federal Institute of Technology, Zurich, in 1936 and immigrated to the United States in 1938, making a career as a professor of hydraulic engineering at the University of California, Berkeley. He had 3 sons and an adopted daughter and would have 5 grandchildren. Hans died in 1973 at the age of 68.
Second son Edward studied medicine and was planning to become a psychiatrist, but by the time he was 21 years old, had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Before his father immigrated to the U.S., Edward reportedly told him he hated him and they never saw each other again.
Edward was cared for by his mother, but as his mental health and her physical health deteriorated, he was sent to an asylum. His brother Hans believed that the electroshock therapy used at the time damaged both his memory and cognitive ability. Einstein paid for his care and hoped to improve enough to immigrate to the U.S., but Edward spent over 3 decades institutionalized and died in 1965 at the age of 55.
The relationship Einstein had with his sons was complicated by the divorce of their mother, his remarriage, and immigration to the U.S., and reportedly by his many affairs. Hans would claim Einstein was not a good father, and in letters it was evident his relationship was strained over his son Edward's mental illness. Since Einstein was so much closer to his second wife Elsa's daughters, this may have rankled his sons as well. But he did correspond with his sons and was supportive and proud of their achievements. Maybe a professor at Hebrew University in Jerusalem said it best when he said, "His most consistent love from beginning to end was science."
The story goes like this. Einstein's brain disappeared after his death in 1955, and after it was found more than 20 years later, studies showed it was strangely unique.
Einstein's brain was removed just hours after his death by pathologist Thomas Harvey, who took it to the University of Pennsylvania and dissected it into 240 pieces, keeping some and giving others to pathologists for research. He also removed the eyes and gave them to Einstein's personal ophthalmologist. Although a 1979 biography of Einstein claimed he had been given permission for the procedures, later research has shown no permission was granted by Einstein or his closest relatives.
The day after Einstein was cremated, the New York Times reported his brain had been removed for study. His eldest son Hans was quite surprised by the news. Harvey managed to convince Hans to allow scientists to try and discover the key to his father's genius. And then, somehow, Einstein's brain disappeared.
In 1978, Thomas Harvey showed a journalist searching for Einstein's brain 2 jars in a wooden box. The jars contained Einstein's brain. After news got out and journalists hounded him and camped in his yard for interviews, Harvey took the brain to Ontario, where it stayed until his heirs donated all of his research and the brain to the National Museum of Health and Medicine near Washington, D.C. in 2010. Parts of the brain were acquired by the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia in 2013 for display.
Research has shown some surprising and unique physical features, including an extra ridge in the middle frontal lobe of the part of the brain used for memory, a wider than normal area responsible for spatial cognition and mathematical thought, a thicker than normal bundle of fibers connecting the left and right hemispheres of the brain.
The problem with these findings is they don't prove anything. All brains are different, and the question of whether someone who has an exceptional talent like Einstein was born with brain differences that explain his exceptional talent, or whether the parts of the brain that may show that exceptionalism were developed over his lifetime, has yet to be answered.
The truth is, while Einstein's brain is interesting, it doesn't really matter to most. He is among a small group of rock star scientists who remain so, despite bad relationships, personal or professional failures, and even the possible secrets of their brains.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey, here's another Dragonden video you might like.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.
And you can hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when our videos come out.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.